Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're unpacking a mystery that is just absolutely incredible. We're going to connect cutting-edge modern particle physics to a 2,000-year-old Buddhist diagram. It's a journey that spans all the way from 300 feet underground in modern Europe to the ancient towering peaks of western Tibet. So settle in, because what we're looking at today is going to fundamentally challenge how we view the history of human technology. To kick things off, think about the ancient Aztec calendar, an artifact historically revered as a literal gateway to the universe. Now hold that thought and compare it conceptually to the modern Large Hadron Collider. That is a massive machine built today to unlock the deepest secrets of our cosmos. When you really observe them, there are some eerie conceptual and visual similarities here. You've got two massive, circular, incredibly complex structures. They're separated by centuries, yet they seem designed with the exact same cosmic goal in mind. And honestly, this visual parallel perfectly sets the stage for the massive connections we're about to uncover.
Section 1. Smashing the God Particle. The modern search for the universe's origin. 670 million. That is the staggering speed in miles per hour that protons are smashed together. We begin our journey 300 feet underground in Geneva, Switzerland, inside a tunnel that's over 16 miles in circumference. This is the Large Hadron Collider, completed back in 2008 by CERN. It is, without a doubt, the most complicated and powerful device human beings have ever built. By running this machine, scientists are recreating conditions in a tiny area that are incredibly similar to the earliest instance of the Big Bang. They are essentially breaking the fundamental building blocks of matter into tiny pieces just to see what falls out.
You know, it's wild to see how rapidly our modern timeline is bridging the gap between theoretical physics and seemingly paranormal phenomena. Back in 1935, Einstein publishes his theories on quantum entanglement. Fast forward a bit to 1964, and Peter Higgs theorizes a unifying particle. Then in the 1970s, right in the middle of the Cold War, the US government actually initiates Project Stargate, which was a scientific remote viewing program aimed at accessing hidden knowledge. And then we hit that monumental breakthrough in 2012 when CERN scientists formally announced the discovery of the God particle. It really shows how science and the seemingly unexplainable have been running on these parallel tracks for decades.
So that 2012 discovery of the Higgs boson was a real game changer because it proved the existence of the Higgs field. If you're not familiar, this is an invisible cosmic force that gives particles their mass. Think of it as an invisible cosmic glue that just permeates all of space and time. A really great analogy physicists use is to imagine ping-pong balls moving through sand. The sand creates drag, right? Well, that drag is what gives particles mass, allowing them to slow down and eventually form matter, like stars, planets, and, well, us. Without this field, everything would just zip around at the speed of light, and our physical universe literally wouldn't exist.
But here is where things get truly mind-bending. Because this field permeates all of space-time, theoretical physicists, especially those working in string theory, suggest that mastering this particle might allow us to effectively switch off mass entirely. Think about that for a second. If we can manipulate this field, theory suggests it could unlock access to 10 or 11 hidden subatomic dimensions that we just can't currently perceive. Traversing these hidden dimensions could potentially enable near-light speed travel or even allow us to move forward or backward in time. We're not talking about science fiction here. This is the cutting-edge theoretical physics of our actual universe.
Which brings us to Section 2, Tapping the Cosmic Record, Ancient Connections to Omnipresent Energy.
Let's jump thousands of miles away from Switzerland. Carved into the walls of the 12th century Angkor Wat Temple in Cambodia, you'll find scenes from the ancient Hindu epic the Mahabharata. And hidden within these ancient texts is a concept that sounds strikingly similar to an omnipresent field. It's called the Akashic Record. This is a Sanskrit term describing a non-physical plane where absolutely all the information in the universe is pre-existing and accessible. You can think of the Akashic Record as an ancient cosmic version of cloud computing, where all universal data is stored and just waiting to be downloaded. Some ancient cultures believe this cosmic hall of records was a gift left behind by deities, a universal network that humanity could actively tap into.
And this actually brings some hard scientific weight to the ancient idea of a connected cosmic consciousness. Remember Albert Einstein? He famously referred to quantum entanglement as spooky communication at a distance. He proved that if a particle is split, both parts remain intrinsically linked. If you change the spin of one particle, the other responds instantly, no matter how far apart they are in the universe. If we're all made of ancient stardust, as the physicists tell us, then on a subatomic level, we are all fundamentally entangled with the cosmos itself.
When you look back historically, we see this incredible pattern repeating. Like we talked about, in the 1970s, the US government spent millions on Project Stargate, using strict scientific protocols to train remote viewers. They wanted them to tap into an altered state of consciousness to retrieve information far beyond normal sight and sound. Plus, legendary geniuses, people like Socrates, Nikola Tesla, and the mathematical prodigy Srinivasa Ramanujan, all claimed in their personal diaries that their incredible breakthroughs weren't just calculated. They felt they were received. They claimed to be communicating with otherworldly entities or tapping into external visions. Were they just using deep meditation to access the exact same Akashic record our modern science is only now brushing up against?
Let's move to Section 3, the Mount Kailash Enigma, a physical center of spiritual power.
22,000 feet. That's the towering elevation of a highly unusual mountain over in western Tibet called Mount Kailash. Visually, it is incredibly distinct. If you look at it from one side, it looks like a perfect cone. From another angle, it forms a very distinct pyramid. And this exact pyramid shape is echoed in the monuments of ancient Sumeria and Egypt, which often represented a physical connection point with the divine.
Now, you really can't overstate the significance of this mountain. For four major world religions, Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, and Taoism, Mount Kailash is revered as the literal spiritual center of the universe. For thousands of years, pilgrims have made the trek to this highly remote peak just to walk a grueling, sacred 32-mile circular path around its base, which is pretty fascinating when you remember that the Large Hadron Collider is itself a massive 16-mile circular tunnel. Pilgrims go there to connect with the gods. In fact, neutrally speaking, some ancient astronaut theorists speculate based on ancient texts that this mountain was once inhabited, or maybe even operated, by advanced beings. The mystery around Kailash gets even deeper when you look at an archaeological find from back in 1907. An explorer named Aurel Stein was traveling about 600 miles north of Mount Kailash when he stumbled upon the Magal Caves, also known as the Cave of the Thousand Buddhas. Inside, completely sealed off from the outside world for centuries, was a massive cache of nearly 50,000 ancient manuscripts written in various languages. It was quite literally a physical Buddhist hall of records hidden away in the mountains.
And this brings us to Section 4, Mount Meru's nuclear blueprint, when ancient texts perfectly match modern technology.
So hidden in those caves was a 2nd century diagram depicting a cosmic mountain known as Mount Meru. Historically, texts described it as a sacred stairway connecting heaven and earth. Now, for a century, nobody really knew what to make of this complex drawing, with its concentric rings and central nodes. But recently, a North Grumman weapons scientist, someone whose day job is designing advanced particle beam weapons for the military, compared it to a modern cyclotron. A cyclotron is the exact piece of technology used to develop the atomic bomb during the Manhattan Project. When he overlaid the ancient diagram with the modern cyclotron, he realized they were a perfect, absolute structural match.
As that Northrop Grumman scientist bluntly put it, do you realize that that's a blueprint for a particle accelerator? The 2nd century diagram didn't just look vaguely like a mountain. It explicitly detailed what appeared to be stacked lenses, specifically designed to focus immense technological energy. It visually and structurally echoes the exact same principles as the Large Hadron Collider we talked about at the very beginning of this explainer. It's almost too precise to be a coincidence.
So, breaking down this theory impartially, we get what's called the Mount Meru power plant theory. It suggests this diagram wasn't just mythology, but a literal nuclear power blueprint, mapping out a massive ancient technological network. Here's how it would work. Step 1. Mount Kailash acts as the raw nuclear reactor, producing immense raw technological energy. Step 2. The Meru cyclotron accelerates those particles, focusing subatomic forces exactly like our modern atom smashers do today. Step 3. It transmits that raw technological cosmic power to keep celestial beings alive or to feed them energy. It heavily implies that these ancient sacred sites weren't just putting out metaphorical spiritual energy, but raw, physical, technological power.
Which leaves us with a pretty profound question to wrap up on. Today, our modern scientists at CERN use 17-mile-long atom smashers to unravel the mysteries of the God particle and quantum entanglement. But are we truly unlocking the universe's deepest secrets for the very first time? Or, when we look back at the Akashic records and the stunning, undeniable nuclear power blueprints of Mount Meru, are we simply rediscovering a cosmic, technological blueprint left behind in antiquity? It forces us all to ask if human innovation is really about inventing the future or if we're simply remembering our past. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I hope this completely changes how you look at our ancient history. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I'll see you next time.